All right. Thank you for that, Ray. So presenting our MOKR, we are Seeds of Tao, and what we're trying to accomplish is helping people to find their unique role and path in this permaculture and regenerative movement. And there's a few ways that we're doing that. One of those is mentoring, and it's been kind of our lifeline right now. But we are and have launched. It's been pretty much a soft launch, and our first alpha is Ray, who is going through that course right now. But we have launched our first online course that is helping people to figure out their projects, accomplish them, do the project management, and really take their first 3-month endeavor into a regenerative project, right? And that's what this Pando course is all about. The objectives that we have are we only have one main objective for this 3-month period. We're doing the 3rd quarter from July to, what is the end of July? October?
October.
Yeah. And so our wildly important goal is to enroll 125 paid Pando Academy students within this quarter, and by October 1st, 2020. And so for us to be able to do that, some of the big things that need to be done are, well, we have to improve this product to the point, because it's very rough. I have talked to Ray about this too. I am of the opinion that you get it out there and you ship it, and then you validate it as it's out in the wild, right? So it's been out in the wild for a little bit, though we haven't been marketing it openly, really, besides just having it on our website for some time before we even have it completely finished. So there's 5 modules within this, and there's a mini course that helps to promote this course and give them a feel for what is going to be involved in the Pando Academy course. And we have 3 of the 5 modules up. That's
4.
We have 4 now.
That's not
okay.
4's done.
4's done. I'm looking at our dashboard here, and it's not fully updated. So we have 4 up right now. Ray can go through 4 of those right now, and the 5th one is being filmed right now, right? And we're editing and doing stuff as we go. But it is something that someone can actually be involved in and start the process. Like it can take anyone from a month to 5 months to kind of go through this course material if they were to really intensely go through it. And we're actually, it's definitely worth its current price. We hope to have it around $747 as a price point on its own, kind of a retail without any promotions or anything like that. For entering the market, we're bringing it down to $200, and trying to get our first 500 people and testimonials through that, and all of those pieces, and then trying to add the next value ladder piece, which is some incubation programs similar to this, but more elaborate and more guided, and maybe even do some retreats and those types of things. We haven't quite figured out those yet, but that's kind of where what we're looking towards as a value ladder, meaning they purchase this entry product, and then they get involved in that, and then they move into a higher level product later on as they get more engaged and involved in what we're doing. And so that being said, that's what we're currently working on to get Academy students in there. Our key results, what we're going to be doing each and every day to do that, is hours spent in improving the product, and then hours spent building the sales and marketing of it, and then sales and marketing, and then also optimization of the sales and marketing. And then as a very key sales metric is like contacts that we can actually get in touch with on a day-to-day basis, right? So some of the tasks that are involved in that: build an ongoing bug and fix list. We use a agile process where we are going to be throwing a fixed list through that agile, so we're actually constantly improving and being able to see those improvements made. If you're familiar with an agile project management system, just a Kanban that we're running that through. And then search the Pando Academy course for bugs and fixes, reach out to Pando students for feedback and testimonials, is kind of the task that we're working on there. Hours that we're spending to build the Pando sales marketing funnel, some of those hours are going to be spent revamping the website for a freemium model with premium offerings. So the freemium model that we're kind of working towards on this is actually so we have a mini course that's free, and then we have the community that's free and can be involved in, and then these actual weekly meetings are going to be free and possibly hosted by other members within the program, right? So that at this level of like is a kind of a free platform for people to get involved in and to play around with and get associated with. And then our courses, some of the higher end courses and retreats and those types of things are going to be the premium model that we're going to be working towards, right? That is, and we're going to kind of set up for that freemium offer on the website, and then the courses being the one of the first premium offer, or this Pando Academy course being the first premium offer. Create and launch the ad campaign. We've been saving up a little bit of money for our Facebook ads, so we can run Facebook ads, and then we're updating our outreach campaign, which pretty much I think almost everybody here has been involved with our outreach campaign, which is LinkedIn. And me reaching out through LinkedIn almost on a, we actually do, I'm going to say this and be very open and vulnerable because it's actually, LinkedIn doesn't really like it, but we do automation through LinkedIn, and we gather a bunch of people. And then as soon as someone responds to us, we kick it out of the automation and we actually have one-on-one conversations, right? So if you've probably been involved in that already, where we reached out to you in an automated fashion, and then it's kicked out the message, and then we started responding and talking with you. And that's how we've been doing a lot of our outreach and market research as well. So we're going to update that outreach campaign to more fully promote and bring people through a funnel to help them get involved in these type of premium offerings. And then for the sales side of things, tasks that we're doing, I'm reformatting our CRM, contact relation management system, so that I can be more on top of things with people, and making sure that people aren't falling through the cracks in our sales process. We're hitting target numbers for outreach and awareness stage, and completing 90 to 100% of our consideration and decision stage contact tests. So people that are evaluating whether or not they want to be involved in this program, and deciding to actually make a purchase. Making sure that I have meetings set up and presentations, and 90 to 100% of those are happening.
I think it's also value to point out, in case not everyone is super aware, the terminology.
Okay, better? Okay, I just wanted to point out, in case some people are not aware of the terminology that we're using in terms of the stages. This awareness, consideration, decision is part of the buyer stage. So we're targeting people from various stages of the buyer cycle. If you're not familiar with that, that's where it's coming from.
Okay. And that, I did it in 10 minutes. So you can do it in 10 minutes if that's what you want to do. But questions on what we're doing, any clarification that you need, and then we can kind of go into seeing how we can accomplish some of these objectives that we're working on, and any thoughts and feedback.
So I have a question, Josh.
Yeah.
And Emily. And yeah, so when I use this template for my own MOKR, so first of all, is that a typo, 2016 instead of 2020? MOKR 2016 Q1?
Yes.
Yes. That is me not changing it from a prior format.
This is not still our MOKR.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The other thing I have questions about, why is there not sort of any strategy before you even do the activities? So you already start with like getting students in the objective? Yeah.
So strategy for getting students, is that?
So like, for example, like if I started like in my MOKR, I actually start with like thinking about my target user or target market. How do I reach them? What sort of channels they use, you know, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So that's great that you're starting there. We have done a lot of that work, so it's not in this current MOKR. So and I can tell you a little bit about what we've done in that work. We used a system Ray might be familiar with. Well, I actually know because we've talked about it. What's his name? Brian Levesque, right? Ask Method. So we use Ask Method, where we do surveys to uncover some of the buyer's journey and some of the challenges that they were perceiving. And a big challenge that we recognized that we could satisfy when we were doing those surveys was people needing business help and working on projects in particular, right? And one of those big challenges was financing, but we felt like even before they get to funding and financing, it was how do we set up our business and project and start a validation process for that, which they weren't really coming out with that specific one. It was like, how do I run my business? How do I market? How do I get sales? And those type of things in the understanding, as well as like, how do I make this a career, was one of the biggest ones of like, how do I actually make my permaculture and regenerative lifestyle and excitement for it a career. And so that's moving forward. We try to create solutions that would help them to offerings that would help them to solve that. But that was our original study of the market. Any other questions? And if not, I can go into some of the issues that we're having right now, and we can talk about those.
So from my point of view, this seems like it's a lot of more internal work. Is there also like a marketing strategy on top of this, or because I know it's like build ongoing like bug fixes and things like that, but is there also like content creation and marketing, or are you just trying to get a strong foundation first and then stack that on?
Yeah, so the marketing, so you're wanting to know more about our marketing strategy?
Not your marketing, but is there is this like because you've identified that this is where there's a gap in the business and you want to fine tune that, or is this like a holistic A to Z kind of process? Because if you like, because you mentioned also about like CRM system and things like that, like is the reformatting of your CRM a problem because there's too many leads going in and you're not managing them well? Or are you building the CRM system before you start filling the leads in there? It's like the chicken and the egg kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of, so the CRM system that we have is just HubSpot right now, right? We kind of talk about that issue. What's happening right now is I created a default CRM, but I didn't have a sales process mapped out quite yet, right? Of what people would go through to actually get to the sell, right? Because a lot of it was just market research to kind of see what was going on, but I was gaining contacts during that market research. So as people were coming in and I was doing outreach through LinkedIn to talk to people and figure out what they would want in an offering, I was collecting names and I was collecting emails and those types of things. And they were getting into this list, but I didn't have a sales process that I was actually going to take them through, or a journey that I was going to take them through. Up until now that we have a product, I'm starting to formalize what that looks like and the messaging behind that. Yeah, it definitely could be more clear, more succinct, and something that is probably going to be, well, we are just barely understanding ourselves what the product is and how it's satisfying people. And you're kind of helping us to do that, Ray. But we know a rough idea of what we want the transformation to be for you, Ray, right? Or anybody else that goes through it. We just don't understand how to convey that transformation quite yet, right? Because you're essentially the first person going through it.
Yep, awesome, thanks.
Great, that helps me to kind of clarify and understand as well. Any other questions?
Not so much a question as an observation, but it sounds like there's really like a feedback loop in there, like that kind of each of these processes feed into each other and inform how you're going to develop them moving forward.
Yeah, so it is a feedback loop. It is very meta in a sense of like we're trying to get an understanding as we're rolling. But yeah, like the first bit of us gaining understanding and getting people through this process will help us to build out some of the better marketing content. I don't know, I would like to ask what you guys think of this kind of freemium offering and because this is something that I've been wanting to do, but I haven't really gotten a lot of feedback around of like having this like open community space, and then being able to sell and make offers. Does it sound too much? Like, is that something that you would be interested in, or would that turn you off to be in this freemium platform, this community, and then get sold on another product or something?
Josh, I can just,
I
was just going to say, I'm part of a couple of other communities. One is like an artists community, and then another is a community of entrepreneurs. And the models that I see in those spaces are very much like the one you're describing. They create community, and the value is in part being part of that community and being connected to other people, just like we are here. And usually those are free. So they'll do an event of some kind, that has a duration, like it may be a week-long challenge, or they'll hold a summit, or something that brings people together. and have a Facebook group or some kind of ongoing community that they will continuously drop into, right? So they're posting content, let's say in a Facebook group, and sharing that and having people interact with one another and post their own content. And then they will say, I would love to work with you one-on-one or in a smaller group in some kind of premium format where we're going to go much deeper into X, whatever that is, right? Because you're in this community with us, you may get a discount, or for a short time you'll know about this premium offer, but the price is going to go up, that sort of thing. I see that all the time in the art world that I'm in. And then in the entrepreneurship space, the community that I'm in there, the model that they follow is a sales funnel, but essentially it's a, sort of summit and webinar format. So you start with a summit of experts around your topic. You build a list off of that. So the whole point of it is to build a list, an email list. Right. And then after you've built your list, you go back and do a webinar, your own content in a webinar format, and then use that to do a further, polling or survey with that audience to find out what they really want. What would you like? What else would complement this? What else would you like to learn about this? Those kinds of things. And then that informs your next product. You might get them on a 30-minute call where you're really talking to them about what their needs are. It's sort of a discovery call. And then you use that in part to inform your product development. But you're also trying to get them, further down into a sales funnel. So those are the two examples that I've seen, but I think the community in particular, if it's ongoing and it really brings value and it supports one another with some kind of, facilitation or, a drop-in, you're giving them some content, it can be really powerful. I mean, both of these spaces that I'm in, these communities are extremely powerful. And that's how they continue to sell to them. And then they turn the people in the community into coaches, into experts in this process. They then can turn around and train people, et cetera. So they're building out this community also.
So this is exactly the model that I'm going for, and it's something that we did with our branding agency as well as other companies that we've worked with. So I'm familiar with the model. I'm just, and I'm asking this question because I've gotten a little bit of bite back from the permaculture and regenerative world, who believes in the kind of open market, and that's where I'm hoping that I'm talking to you guys. This is the model I'm bringing forward. Does it actually work within the permaculture and regenerative world?
I hear you, Josh. I hear you. I get bite back all the time, but I'll let MP go and I'll give you my thoughts soon.
I was just going to say, yeah, I'm kind of probably your target audience for that. Cause well, I just don't like being surprised, so as long as you're transparent about what's going on, I think and I've done a lot of what Carol was describing, especially like the evolving wisdom with Claire Zammit. I don't know if you know those. I love Claire. I think she's amazing. And this is exactly the type of model that she uses. I did a course with the influencers masterclass. It's all about women power and women getting together and blah, 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 and coaching. But like, I'm not usually the type of target audience for that sort of thing, but the way that they present it is really, transparent, and there's never surprises about what, it's always like really clear. And usually they'll have like a session and you get all inspired and pumped and you're like, oh my God, I so want to do this more. And like, and they're just always clear about pricing. And that's what I like about that. You can go, Ray.
I'll go at the end and I'll let everyone else speak, because I think there's a few people.
The transparency though, MP, is really, really great. That's something that we really need to be open with and understand, as well as when we're bringing these. And I hope I'm being very transparent. I mean, I'm giving my MOKR to pretty much everybody.
Yeah, like I don't like when we were talking about the growing, what's that documentary, you know, and I kind of had like the differing opinion of you guys because you guys, that shocked me a bit at the end that there it was like a sales thing suddenly because I was like, oh, I thought like I was just watching a documentary.
Need to
I
grow,
think
yeah.
They
need to grow. That's it. The grow. See, and you guys, if so, I might not be the best person. You know, you can't please everybody with this stuff. And like Yanni said, she was like, yeah, cool. At the end, like, so it did work for a lot of people. And like, I'm not maybe. Yeah, I don't know. So it's just, it's hard, you know, you can't please everybody and you got to choose the people that you want to market towards.
Very cool.
Can I
Yanni,
add
go
something?
ahead. Yeah, go.
Well, Josh and Emily, I feel like since I joined the first mastermind meeting, right, I really found values in this group and in what you do, because I feel like there's nothing out there for me, at least I haven't found it yet, where I could actually use my existing skills in design and technology and my experience in that to do something with my permaculture hobbies, right? So like I've always seen these two things as two separate things, like two separate worlds. I cannot combine them, I cannot merge them. You know, and so, you know, so far when I talk to people who are in this world with permaculture and all of that, they've been doing like great work with the communities. But when I told them about my skills, they said, well, can you design a poster for us? You know, so it's a very narrow sort of like way of engagement. Or like, they ask me, can you help us with our garden? Like, can you volunteer and plan? You know, I'm okay with that, but, you know, but at the same time, oh, but I also know lean, I also know agile, I also know design, I also know, you know, all of these things. And so I could never find, at least out there, this like intersection between these two things. So actually when I joined the first mastermind group, it really jump-started my my passion, and it gave me a lot of hope that I could actually bring these two worlds closer together. And it gave me a lot of courage as well. So when I was doing this MOKR, I was pretty sure that I'm gonna do this for the next 3 months and see what happens. And so, you know, before this, I was actually quite fearful and quite anxious about like even trying this, because I don't know whether there's any value in this or whether people will need what I can offer. And so to me, like, this community is great. Like this, again, for me, what you're offering is very valuable.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. That's pretty much a testimonial for this MOKR program that we're doing. So that's so cool. It gives us definite some language that we can use there as well to share with others. Ray.
Yeah. So thanks. So obviously being in the same space, appealing to regenerative farmers, and we get this a lot too, the pushback of like, you know, this should be free, this should be government funded. You know, why can't, you know, yeah, it's just so frustrating. And it's very hard because you kind of take it personally sometimes. It's like, well, how am I meant to pay for the server to stay online? And like, we have running costs. But as someone else mentioned as well, I think it is very much about the transparency of what's the next step. I call it like the pathway, like what's the pathway that someone's going to take through the program. And it's hard too, because like sometimes we don't know what that looks like, and there's so much individuality as well, especially when it comes to this space, and, you know, regenerative farming as well, who's doing, you know, different ways of running their business, and it's hard to squeeze them through your kind of pathway. But I did the Stu McLaren Tribe course. I don't know if you know Stu McLaren. He's big in America, but he runs a company called Tribe.
I have heard of the Tribe course. I didn't know. I didn't know it was his name associated with it.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. That's kind of where that customer journey and pathway comes from. And even, you know, you look at game technology and game psychology, you always know like what level you're on and what's the next level. And the goal is to beat, you know, the boss at the end. And they, you know, a lot of things that I've researched in this is around that kind of gamification pathway kind of thing. But you know, the thing with pricing and things is just because I've done a course recently as well with someone, and there was that surprise. It was like you go into the program, the entry price was $500, and then I think the one thing that really you need to be transparent with is that you get everything you need in this level and you're not left behind, and there's no other secret magic pill. Because where it gets frustrating is like, oh, we can help you, but that's in our advanced course. They do this a lot in like business coaching and NLP and all that. And I think everyone is becoming more used to this kind of sales technique, that doing like sideways sales letters or product launch forms, like they worked 10 years ago and the principles are okay now, but copying that frustrates people, especially like when you get to video 1, it's like, okay, well, tomorrow we're going to send you video 2. And everyone's like, well, I've got time now. Why do I have to wait until tomorrow? Because that's like your marketing automation. And so people want to know that they can shortcut the system, or they can skip to the next video. You know, blocking off video controls on videos just frustrates people. It's like, especially for me, I want to be able to watch things at double speed. And when I can't do that, it really, you know, annoys me if I want to pause. And I think I even said this as well on one of your pages, like your pop-up offer pops up after a timer. Well, that's fine if you watch at single speed, but as double speed, I'm now waiting for this button to pop up that I can't click. You know, whenever there's those friction points, it's just really annoying. And then that's when people go, oh, I see what you're doing here. And, you know, the Need for Grow documentary was like that as well, because their offer, when you're watching it on the website, didn't pop up until a certain time frame. I think it's when you start doing those things that people in this space get really like annoyed in a way. But as long as like the next step isn't something that I will definitely need, and then I need to pay more to get it. And I think that's where it gets really frustrating.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. And I think we need to be extra sensitive to that because of the permaculture and regenerative market that we're satisfying. I've been going through a book called Think Like a Commoner. I don't know if anybody's gone through that yet, but a commoner, setting up commons and those types of things is like what permies are all about, and regenerative folks are all about. And if I'm doing a I feel like I'm setting up a commons, but then making money off of it, and then that's when people are like, whoa, what are you doing here? And that's what I don't want to piss people off or shake them the wrong way.
I have a few points to kind of build off of a few things that have been said already. I think in terms of the community, if you can try as much as possible to have the community remain purely like a generosity driven space, then that's going to strengthen it in front of that kind of criticism that you just said. Like if the commons really is a commons, and that Slack group, for instance, maybe you can have a channel where there's like a promote, like promote yourself, or like, channel where people can say like promote their latest blog post or their project or whatever. But everywhere else, it's really just about like communicating, asking questions. And like that promote channel could be where you even say like, oh, hey, we launched this new course, but you don't put it in any of the other channels, and you follow the same rules as you would expect as any of your community members. And so that community really remains pure, and really the biggest value of that community is of people connecting with each other. And you and Emily can inject value there too. But just by connecting the dots, just by giving people a space, you're creating value. And if you leave that as truly pure and as always free, that really kind of shows, that you want to give from that place. And then I think as Carol mentioned, the build your email list, again, the email list should also, there should be like a balance there. Like that one can be kind of have a ratio. That one doesn't have to be all giving, but there should be some level of giving. There should be some rhythm and cadence of sharing, I don't know what kind of content you guys are producing, but if you guys are writing, or even if you just curate some articles and you send things out, but just having some sense of showing up in people's inbox with something that you're just giving, and then, you know, when the ask comes, you've already built up that rapport with people. And because if you just end up sending out like a marketing sequence or a launch sequence out of the blue, then it feels a little more grating, I think. And then there was something I was wanting to pull up from the last, I think, in terms of the, so also like, because in the regenerative space and like that pushback that you're getting, another thing that you can do is always think about tiered pricing or sliding scale. So I would say, like, you said you have the freemium model with the premium offerings. What you could do is, I've seen it work where somebody did like a course that from the start, there was an entry level and a premium offering, and the entry level was 4 weeks, and the premium it had an additional 2 weeks, an additional it had like an additional 2 modules and 4 weeks of group coaching. And so from the start, you knew, like, this is what I'm getting for this price. This is what I could get for this price. And you could decide. Like, you don't want to do the bait and switch, like the Ray was referring to, where it's like you pay $500 for this course, and halfway through they're like, oh, well, for an additional $300, we'll give you that. Just be super clear, transparent upfront, and then offering some kind of like either sliding scale option or, you know, 1 or 2, you know, scholarships. You know, and then have those be merit-based, or they could go to people of color, or whatever is important to you. But just having, and then if you're transparent about that too, then that helps you. You can be transparent about why you're doing it that way. You can say, like, look, I'm pricing it this way because this is what I do. I put all this energy into it. You know, I'm putting lots of love and time, and I've got a family, and I'm, you know, like, be honest about, you need to charge money for it, and say, and we don't want anyone to not have access to this because of their means. So if this is really valuable to you and you can't afford it, please email us or fill out this form or whatever. And then that helps also just kind of democratize it overall.
Great. That's great feedback. And the offerings, they're starting to come, but really we only have the one offering right now, right? The offerings that I guess it might help. I'm still working out what our value ladder is, or the scale, the sliding scale type of things are. But obviously mentoring is something that's a higher end product and offering. And that's typically where we started off at. And now we're kind of trying to create something that's lower tiered. But that's a big gap to go from, you know, that offering to mentoring, right? I'm trying to figure out what it is in between there that's beneficial as well.
I've seen group coaching be effective in that space, or mastermind. I mean, something like this, some kind of like mastermind or like a cohort. So people it's a little bit of a different price point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's like what I see the progression of this, but do you see, and maybe I should ask Ray, you going through the product, do you see that a natural evolution? Because at the end of the product, hopefully you haven't gotten there quite yet, Ray, but you're seeing yourself work into creating these bigger projects and being involved in projects. What I'm hopefully thinking is the natural progression is, well, maybe I need a coach or a mentor to help me to work on that, right? And so there's Josh, he's been working. And then maybe this right here is that middle path of like, here is a cohort we're coming up, and I could do a launch sequence with that, where we have a cohort, maybe even this would also be almost too premium for it, but I would like to do like a getaway or what do you call those? Retreat. Yeah. Retreat, in those types of, areas, right? Like Catherine, if we went and visited you guys, it'd be really cool, right? To do a quick retreat, but that would be a higher tiered thing. But something like this would also be really, really helpful as well, as a next tier in between mentoring and this.
Yeah, and the only thing I want to add to that as well is that people will like coaching and mentoring is one thing, but what I've realized after a lot of years is people really just need accountability. Like I think I always use in our business, in our planning meetings and all that, is the personal trainer. I don't know if in America you call them personal trainers, but when you book someone to train at the gym or fitness, they, like, everyone wakes up going, oh, I know I need to be fitter. Like, we already know that. So we don't need to be taught that. No one needs to tell you how. And like, yeah, you can go watch YouTube videos on how to lift dumbbells and do presses and all this other stuff. Like, all the information is there free. But people want that accountability, and that's what really people value. And it's like, even with this call here, like, it's in a calendar, it's accountability, we have action steps. People really, what I've realized is people pay for accountability, and like someone to be accountable for, and also what was I going to say? Oh, to be around like-minded people. And it's like, you know, the tribe and the community. I know that word's come up a lot, but people just want to feel like they're in the presence of other people who get their flow and their language and their lifestyle. And this is big in the regenerative space as well, because a lot of people who are transitioning away from chemicals, they get isolated in their communities, especially when they start pushing those beliefs onto their neighbors because they want to protect their pastures and so forth. And so they get really feeling like they're isolated and alone. So when they can connect to this virtual community and have basically like virtual neighbors that they can connect with and communicate, that really does bridge the gap. Yeah, so that's just, you know, what I want to add there is that accountability is a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so here's the kind of quandary that I'm having, and I haven't really told you this, Emily. And so it's kind of funny that it's coming up, because I have really wanted to create that accountability, that feeling of community as the commons area, and not charge for that as a premium product. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like I'm having that feels like my quandary is, like, I've gotten involved in a lot of these projects where the really valuable community is always locked off at higher levels, right? And you have to pay into these things like Tony Robbins or whatever, right? And it's really, really difficult, and it's frustrating to see, like, I can't even see what that would be like, or to maintain that. And then once I've actually paid into it, like, I want it to go further, right? I want it to continue and be something that has this longevity to it. And that's why I want to give this to be a part of it. But I don't know what the middle ground offering is, you know, between mentoring and, you know, free, the smaller courses and those types of things.
You could have just to piggyback on what you're saying, the community that I was describing before, the way that it creates that is you get a cohort to go through a process together. And then on the other side of that process, they are then a community. And I just did this in a regular course too, that I took through a college, and it worked the same way. So we met, you know, every week for 8 weeks, and then they created sessions in the weekends where we were connected. That was all by Zoom. By the end of 8 weeks, this group was bonded and we were community. And now, and that was a kind of pay what you want model. Now that group is continuing to meet monthly, and we have a platform that connects us. So, you know, you could use Slack for that purpose. The other one that I paid into that was pretty expensive, and it runs continuously, but then it also has, if you're in the program, you can offer a discount to get other people into the program. After the program ends, you're part of a community forever. You never have to buy another thing. You never have to be another thing, but you are always part of that community. And that community is extremely bonded, and they're always bringing in new people, right? So it continues to grow. And, you know, those people, I believe, would support one another through anything. And that was only a 4-month program. So there are some, ways of doing that people then become very connected to you, very connected to what you're doing, very connected to that community emotionally, and, can then support one another. You can still continue to, sell products that you develop in the future because they are connected to you and they believe in you.
Right. Yeah. So I guess there's multiple ways of doing it, but I've been involved in like a $20,000 real estate investment community, right? Where I bought into that and then the community is ongoing forever, right? That was kind of frustrating in the sense that like you had to pay in, but then you have this community that's ongoing forever and an education that's ongoing forever. That's great. But everybody else is still closed off at that's lower than that, right? And that makes sense for that model and whatnot, but I still want that community up front to be almost as strong as the community that someone would pay for a large thing, but it's become, the community is the commons and everybody could use that community. I'm using that same community, though I helped to create it and build it, but almost everybody else is maintaining and running that same community in commons as well. The problem is like, I feel like I can't do that because I'm so attached to it. Like I can't create that type of community because I am so attached to that. Does anybody get what I'm trying to put in there? Yeah.
Josh, I think I'm picking up where you're going with it. And I think really it's a matter of like kind of defining your channels, like, and prioritizing and thinking about them in terms of how open they are and how much energy you're putting into them. So like like the Slack could continue to be this, very open space, and even the accountability there could be a certain level of that within the Slack, like there could be a channel for accountability partners. Like I've seen that in some communities where people say like, I'm doing this habit, and then they check in every day and people like ping them and chat and talk. You could also have like an open format, like Ask Me Anything, or like a weekly call that continues to be free for everyone, no matter what. And maybe it's not a cohort. And so because it's not like this smaller, more intimate group, that's the trade-off.
Is that enough of a trade-off though? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking of.
You might see the same people showing up to it. Like I have a friend who's a solopreneur and he does a weekly AMA, and kind of the same people always show up. So it is almost a cohort in a way. And then, so if that stays free, then you have a couple of spaces that continue to be free and continue to be commons. And then the only gated things that you're doing are the courses, which, to go off what Carol said, you could then have a private Slack channel for the people that go through the course. And that's where their like mini niche of the community can live and can continue to dive deeper. And then like a group coaching offering that would go more in depth and have more of a structure. Like something like this could be more, you could have something where it's like each week you're going to be tackling a specific thing. That kind of structure is that like added value that people are paying for, but something that's more like free form and people pop in and out to like that can be the free offering.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I gotta say goodbye. I gotta head home. I'm still at the office and it's getting late. So it's a pleasure meeting all of you, and I really look forward to hopefully connecting with you more in the future. Thanks so much for having me, Josh.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. I'll get you on the Slack community and we'll chat some more.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys for the feedback. This is really quite great validation for what we're currently working on. Andrew, it's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Had to be a bit late, but tried to get here as quick as I could.
Great. Well, it's great to have you regardless. So yeah, that's something really been thinking of. Emily, I don't know, what do you have any thoughts that you want to share, or things that the challenges that we're going through that I haven't put forth? that you want to address?
Okay, so many of you are familiar with the visionary and the integrator model. Josh is the visionary. I am the integrator. So I don't worry about the big picture stuff. I integrate. I edit the videos and do, I don't know. That's my area of genius. I'll do the design and I'll do the grunt work, the project management stuff. So I don't know that I necessarily have anything else to throw out because I leave it to him. Does that sound terrible? I will integrate and homeschool.
No, it doesn't sound terrible because in most businesses, there's two visionaries and everyone's out dreaming in the skies and no one's doing anything. So
Yes.
that
happened with our branding agency.
Josh just divorced from one of those. So
yeah, so I don't necessarily have anything to put forward on that. Yeah.
Just let me know.
You need to be, babe.
Can I add one thing? I know I missed heaps of all of this, but are you clear as to who your audience is? Because the permaculture audience is very spread. You've got the people who just go, oh, I want to grow some veggies and do it better. And you've got people all the way up to big businesses who are trying to do things. Are you, I don't know, clear on who you're focusing at?
Yeah, great question. Could you mute yourself?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so I'm hoping for it, and this is a kind of a loaded question too, because my hope, like big vision picture, is for the individual, and the ideal customer would be really close to Yanni, actually, where younger, maybe even, right out of high school, even, right? If that's, and they found out about permaculture and they want to make a career of it, right? And they start off on the beginning stages of their journey and path, right? And trying to figure out, they're passionate, they want to make it a career. How do they make it a career? Do I get involved in someone else's project, or do I create my own project? Helping them to define how to determine that, or what stage they should, a lot of times when you're younger, it's go and get involved in a bunch of other people's projects and then go start your own project, right? And helping them to find that direction early on and then move into some of the other stuff. But so like these masterminds and those types of things, these are working towards people that are involved in the movement, doing stuff and getting involved. The coursework and courses is more so of like helping people to find their way, like Yanni right now, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of, I'm meeting two of those, but I'm wanting to broaden the amount of projects that are out there, the permaculture projects, as well as get people excited and interested in this type of career path for themselves.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and sounds like you've got a good idea of where you're going and where I thought you were. But just to be aware of, like people like me, I've been doing permaculture for 20 years. I'm in a very different position to them, but I'm still hopefully able to add value to you. But I'm not going to, I'm less likely to go and do courses for stuff that I know, but still hopefully I can rant here and give you extra value. And so it's for your advantage to get all of us in the masterclass and whatever to help build the community, and that having a good, healthy community then makes it a better marketing thing to be able to get the free people who are your actual paying audience you're after. So, yeah.
I think it's also valuable to mention that our area of genius, especially with Permies, but in our mentoring sphere, is really helping people that are having a hard time making the impact that they want to, because we really have been working on not so much applying permaculture to the land, though we've also done that, but in terms of mindset and helping people overcome the obstacles that are holding them back. Because we found a huge issue in the permaculture sphere that Permies have, they want to change the world, and they have big dreams, and it's awesome, but they have a hard time getting there because they're not handling what's in here first. So that's like kind of the main pain point that we are addressing providing community, providing support, but also providing really specific instruction in our course, how to overcome your obstacles and work through things and do the project management stuff so you can make it happen, right? So it's not a PDC. We're not trying to replicate a PDC. It's really for this part of permaculture, so that you can do the rest.
The zone 0.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yes, Yanni.
Okay, I just drew this framework that can you guys see it? So this is actually one of the frameworks I was working on about future of workforce. And I was thinking about what's missing right now in the current workforce, and like just based on my observation of the designers around me. And I sort of like divided the things that I'm missing or the things that I want to see more into 3 buckets. So skills, mindsets, and also internal values or strength. And some of the things that you guys mentioned, Josh and Emily, there's some piece about mindset, like you said, Emily, what's happening in your head that is preventing you, what's the limiting beliefs that you have. Something about skills as well, right? So like a lot of people want to know, how do I get funding? How do I write my proposal? How do I do marketing? How do I do social media? Like really technical, really practical like skill. And then something around like values and internal sort of like conviction, I guess, or like wanting to find a career in this. When you mentioned that you want to like target young people, maybe fresh out of high school, right? I've met like a bunch of them. I can connect you to them. And again, I think one of the things that is holding them back from like pursuing this as a career is the mindset. Like they don't know whether this is actually possible. It's actually possible to make this into a career. I had that same sort of barrier as well when I started. And then they went around and like they volunteered to get the skills, which is like, okay, maybe I should like help this project. I can learn gardening. And I have met people from Thailand when I did my permaculture, people from all around the world who went there to do permaculture, who ended up after Thailand, who ended up in Cambodia and Indonesia and all of the different places to start permaculture projects, like just starting like a community garden in a school, right, in Cambodia. But in the end, they could only do it for like a few months until it was time actually to go back to their country and like get a real job. Because they said, well, I cannot sustain this. How long do I have to do this? To make it like, again, this is like all permaculture projects are always like long term. You have to be there for 10 years at least to see the results, right? So I'm still also struggling with this. Like this is for me like what I see missing is what I see missing from the designers that I work with, right? I guess, does it help at all? Like again, maybe this is just some early thoughts. And with the young people, I have to be, I think, as a social entrepreneur, like I would say like, yes, there is some need there. There's some, I'm also passionate about helping them find their ways. But at the same time, I'm also mindful that if I am to go that path, these people might not be able to pay for my service. Because I figured that, a lot of us actually, when we were there in Thailand, I just learned from them, right? They either was there because of their parents, so their parents pay for it, and they were able to have this like sabbatical after college. And then they said, this is before I actually go to get a real job. I just want to like travel around and just do this for fun. So again, it could be a barrier in that sense. And who knows?
That is super helpful and telling as well. And I'm just kind of thinking of that early stage person where they're young, that sabbatical stage, because I think almost a lot of us have gone through that stage right after I had children, right after college. And so
in college.
In college we had children. And so I didn't necessarily, I had to do it a different way. We went off grid and had to move our family in a Airstream trailer. We did it with kids. And that was kind of like me trying to take my sabbatical, right? With children and a family. But we all go through those periods, and I think that's a good transitional period, and maybe some of the marketing and messaging needs to voice that, but the entry level price needs to fit that as well, right? And I think having that, and then being able to, as they get involved in the community and work within the community, eventually, hopefully, they choose to get involved in different projects, get involved in different offerings as well. And that's hopefully what I'm trying to create. But thank you for clarifying that stage, because that's something that I haven't really thought too much about. This has been super, super helpful for me, and I thank you for all the great feedback, and Emily's shaking her head as well. This, I hope, just for this last little bit, want to talk more about the actual MOKR platform and the mastermind platform that we're going through, and answer any questions that you guys have about this platform. And it kind of moving forward, Yanni, I think you're next week. So any questions that you have right now would be, this is the time to ask them, and let's kind of go through that. But thank you again. Maybe any last comments about this current MOKR that we've run through, our MOKR? Yeah, go ahead, MP.
I think it's so great, and it just reminded me, but I don't know if this is at all going to help, but I've been talking to Morag Gamble, and you know her too, but with Perma Youth and stuff, it might be something you could like cross promote with her stuff, and she's really into like, trying to make permaculture like a income generating thing for people, so more people are doing it, not just like, so she's really into that business idea too, of how to like, so it could be a good connection.
Have you talked to Morag recently? No, you did just recently. Are you continually talking with her?
Yeah, we're doing like Friday afternoons with Hannah and her, and just talking about ideas and like girl chat stuff. It's fun. It's good. But yeah, she talks a lot about it because she's got projects in Africa too, and how, you know, we're trying to implement ideas. So yeah, she talks about Perma Youth so much, and it's a really cool thing. But they're like really young. They're like 13 or to 15 or something, or 16.
Yeah, I'm thinking a little bit older, like kind of what Yanni was saying, where they have that period of like either right before college or right after college.
Oh, right. But she might have some, I don't know, she's like so all over, like doing a lot.
If you wouldn't mind mentioning what we're doing in your conversations, and then maybe even have her visit one of these masterminds.
Actually, she doesn't even know about GRC. She's like, I want to come to that. And then we were going to tell her, about the pollination thing tomorrow. So I'm going to tell her. So maybe she'll
I forgot to put that on the Seeds of Tao calendar. I keep on forgetting.
It's at 5:30. They changed the time. So we have her call at 4 and tell her to come. And then maybe you'll get to talk to her. If not, I will mention it.
Okay, great. Because I haven't talked to her since, chatted a little bit on social, but mostly just since we had our podcast interview. But that'd be great. So now questions for this MOKR Mastermind platform that we've been working on.
Oh, I don't have a question.
I have a comment. So this last week, Marianne, who was with us last week, I went and we had like her like why discovery conversation. We had some glitches with the calendar, so she couldn't get here tonight, but I'm still leaving that open if anyone feels like they need a little more help solidifying their why, their like, big uniting banner for themselves. I love doing those conversations with people, so just email me and we can set up a time if that is helpful to you. I find it very helpful before starting on a new sprint or project, just to make sure that you're really like grounded, because we can take projects kind of all over the place. Anyways, I'm just throwing that out again. I know most people were here last week, but that's still something if it comes up. That's all.
Thanks, Em. And I witnessed Yanni's just because I was working on the other side, and it was really cool to kind of see that. Or not Yanni's.
No,
What's her name? Mariani. Yeah. Okay. So close in the pronunciation or the sounding of it. Yeah. So on this platform, go ahead, Yanni.
Oh, it's just a comment. I think she's Dutch or of a Dutch origin. Yes. Yeah. So I'm from Indonesia, so like we were colonized by the Dutch. So like, you know, the names kind of sound the same. Yeah, we have similarities in that. Yeah.
I was
actually
wondering
didn't
if
know
you're
that.
Indonesian because I thought, because I lived in Bali for a long time. Like,
Oh my God, we should
like,
talk.
I know I can't even remember Indonesian very much, but that's cool. I was like, I wonder if you're Philippines, but then I knew that your name is like really Indonesian. I'm like, oh yeah, we rarely meet Indonesians here. It's true.
Yes.
It's cool. Oh, so good. Selamat malam. I don't know what it is
Oh,
now.
there you go. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love the different ways that we can all connect around the world. It's so cool to see. We really are all one. There's no division. I'm noticing that more and more, especially within this permaculture movement is so diverse. I didn't realize how diverse it was until I really started talking with people from all over the world, different backgrounds, different cultures, but all working on similar things. It's not a right or a left thing in the States. It's always kind of been that, but it's more about what we're moving forward together. So this is another expression of that. It's really cool. So is there no questions on the platform? And Yanni, your next week, do you have any questions about your MOKR? Are you set on what you're doing?
Well, I have 1 week to develop this idea further. So I think I'm gonna also try to like create a more comprehensive business plan or strategy. Like I will think about like, you know, who is my target user and all of that. And I'll probably use some of my like design skill to visualize my idea. So that's it.
Very cool. That'll be helpful. And yeah, you'll be able to present in any way that you'd like. You can share your screen. Yeah, feel free to do it in whatever way is comfortable to you. One thing I will mention is on the metrics, the lead and lag metrics. It will be helpful for you to put those in a place where you're visually seeing those. If it's in an Excel, we use a dashboard. You can go and view it's a full version. You can see how it works, but there's more details that we share in the $200 Pando Academy course on how to put the dashboards together for tracking your lead and lag metrics. But even if you don't have an understanding of creating your own dashboards, you can still get a good sense from the free Dreamcatcher course. That's what I was trying to come up with there. So the Dreamcatcher course, if you haven't gone through the Dreamcatcher course, there's that to help you with the dashboard.
Yeah, the workbook will still take you through of Dreamcatcher. It will still take you through setting up your dashboard. Your dashboard is just like the visual representation of your project and like marking visually so you know where you're constantly at and what you're focusing on. So, especially for us visual types, it is. Very good.
Ray, would you say that's enough for someone that would be able to use that on their own?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great foundation of like just things to think about, and also a way of seeing how other people do it. Up until recently, I haven't really felt the need to redo a vision board and things like that. And after seeing a lot of the videos and what you have up on your walls and the way that you do things, it's definitely, it's like, it does really need to be top of mind, you know, you out of sight, out of mind. And so I'm positioning my vision board right where my bed is. So when I wake up, it's like right there in my face. Now I do a lot of thinking because I have a roommate and I share. I do a lot of, you know, time in my room, just kind of like staring out the window and looking at the view and thinking. And so I want that kind of in my view all the time. And it is because of the course. It's kind of like, yeah, I really do need to get back into that way of, you know, manifesting, and just instead of going to bed thinking about negative stuff, I can look at my vision board and go, yeah, let me start, you know, visualizing more about what success looks like on this element or that element. So yeah, it's been really, really good. Another reminder, it's all stuff I know, stuff I've done in the past, but you just sometimes need that kick.
Definitely. And not to confuse the vision boards with a project dashboard as well, where we're tracking.
Yeah, it's just more that
metrics.
Visualization thing of like, you need the dashboards. You can't hit a target you can't see. You know, you just need to. There's nothing wrong with being behind target. You just need to know that. You can't live in la la land going, we're on track, and then you're like, damn it, we missed it. It's like the cliche analogy of 6% of a plane flight is off track. And it's that last minute course correct. It was that course correcting that is crucial. You know, it's never going to follow the track, you know, to a T, but it's course correcting. It's get off track, come back on track, you know, and dodging weather patterns and things like that. So as long as you get to your destination, and metrics. I worked for a marketing company where there were TVs everywhere, and it was an open door policy, and there were dashboards everywhere, and half of them were just updated by like Google spreadsheets. Would update a Google spreadsheet, our computer, and some screen would update with a new goal achieved or a new target, and customers could see that when they walk through, you know, and it's about being transparent with yourself and your team. Like, you know, even with our team, we have transparency. Like in Slack, we have a sales channel, and every time an order gets placed, it pings off and says, woohoo, another sale. And then when an invoice is paid, it's like, cha-ching, invoice is paid. And all the staff can see that because we then celebrate it. We're now starting to be grateful for those orders. So people would write like, well, I'm really grateful for Margaret joining our program. And it's just nice. It keeps them all included, and there's nothing hidden. There's nothing that, you know, yeah, it's all about open, and you need to see what's going on. I call it the pulse of the business. Yes, you've got to have the finger of the pulse.
It's also valuable to acknowledge the fact on a personal basis that our subconscious is 1,000,000 times more effective than our conscious mind. And if we are looking at a dashboard and if we are looking at a vision board, your consciousness is only working a little bit on it, but your subconscious, if it is seeing it all the time, especially when you wake up, when you go to bed, it is working on that and trying to figure out how to line things up to make it happen. So you actually, like, not only are you seeing it consciously, but your subconscious is like gathering the army to make it happen, which is like so cool. I love, neurology just lights me up.
So yeah, make sure as you're creating these MOKRs that when you get to your metrics, that you're putting those somewhere. And you're seeing those in a place that you're looking often. Hopefully it's been pretty straightforward. Is there any, we only have 4 more minutes here, but is there any things where you have been tripped up on the sample MOKR and creating your own MOKRs if you have started that process? MP, I know you had a couple of things last time. Is it clear enough now for you now?
I haven't started working on it yet, that's why. But I'll definitely hit you up with questions. Yeah, okay. I put it on the list. I should just sign up and then I'll be like, I have to do it. Yeah, that's good idea to put it there. I was like, oh, okay, I left it open. I'll sign up tomorrow and then I'll ask you questions. Thank you.
Okay. And again, on the Slack community, there is a channel for you to talk about that, all of those things. What did we label it? It is MOKR Mastermind. That's right.
One thing I will say with the the MOKR form. It's clear enough, especially from the discussions last week, but there's still a few things in there that you might want to clear up for later, like the fact that it's still got things, don't change the format, even though that's sort of irrelevant as a Google document. And the why thing, my assumption would have been that's to do with this specific project, yet the way you're wanting to aim it is for specifically for me. So there's just a few little things that might do with some cleaning up, but I think it's clear enough for all of us who have gone through these sessions.
Great, that's helpful. And yeah, there was a couple of people that dropped off yesterday because it was a little too confusing because they came in, or last week, I mean, they dropped off early because they came in late and then they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of this and I don't know what's going on. And so they dropped off. But I gave them the video. I'm still waiting to see if that helps to clear things up for them. But yeah, I think you're totally right, Andrew. I think we need to clarify some of the different pieces, and why was definitely one of them. Any other areas? And we have 2 minutes left. Feel free to hop off at any time.
See you guys next week.
See you next
See ya.
week. Yanni, I'm excited to get into your MOKR next week as well.
I'm excited to share. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to bounce too. Thanks, guys.
Me
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
See you, Ray. Thanks for showing.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
Bye, MP.
Bye.
Bye, MP.
Oh, sounds like it's end time.
Yeah, we'll see you, Andrew.
Good luck.
Thanks. Are you going to be doing, quick question for you, are you planning on doing a MOKR or?
Yes, but basically I just had a death in the family, so everything's ridiculously busy right now.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
I do, but yeah, it'll be a bit until I can get things set up and going.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Bye.
Bye.